I think we're about ready to get started here. Sorry for the 5-minute delay. We had some problems with our sound system, but have been rescued by George Brown.
Thank you, George.
So if everybody can take a seat and quiet down and turn off your cell phones and them going off with your ringtones. And we're going to open tonight with a special announcement from George and Antoinette from the Democratic Party.
We have sad news to deliver to you, and I wanted to do that via the Democratic Party. Senator Carlos Cisneros passed away this morning from a sudden heart attack. So if you wouldn't mind, just for a few moments, just keep your thoughts and let's be quiet. Thank you for your respect.
Well, thanks, George. That's a sobering way to start the meeting. But nevertheless, I want to welcome all of you to Taos United. Bienvenidos a Los Años Unidos. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Teresa, and I'll be your MC. Taos United began right after the shocking 2016 election. Like many other similar groups around the country, we're now more than 500 strong, working together for human rights, environmental stewardship, and a fair and just democracy. We are nonpartisan and nonprofit, but not without opinions. And in fact, that's what you'll hear tonight, are many opinions, which are those of the speakers, not of the organization itself. Our goal is to ignite your activist spirit and connect you to the causes that feed your passion to change the world. If it's your first time at our forum, we're especially glad to have you here with us. If you'd like to introduce yourself, there are a lot of new faces here, but if any of you would like to stand and introduce yourself, we'd welcome that. Anybody?
Hello everyone, my name is Buck Johnston. I'm with a group called Guardians of Taos Water, and just wanted to come and experience you guys' meeting and maybe give you a little info on what we do, and yeah, good evening.
Great, thanks. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes.
Susanna Cavaletti. I've lived here for 2 years and look forward to getting involved.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, we'll go ahead then. The focus of the Taos United Community Forum is on you. We want to hear about your issues, your causes, and organizations. And much of our time here will be devoted to your 3-minute presentation. If you do plan to speak, please fill out one of the yellow cards. They're up here on the front table. Margie's holding one up. You can come up and pick one out any time and fill it out. And that's to help us with our recap of the meeting that we send out to our email list. We're also honored to have 2 special guest speakers tonight. 2 of the women who are running in the June 2020 primary for the Democratic nomination to represent our 3rd Congressional District in Congress. They are Valerie Plame and Teresa Fernandez. Let's welcome them. I'm not sure. Is Teresa here yet? No. Teresa must be running a little late. Okay. Thank you, Jay. Each of them will have 8 minutes to present and 2 minutes for your questions. And I'll be calling on them to speak interspersed with your 3-minute presentations. As usual, we'll save the last half hour or so for informal conversation, giving you the chance to talk to speakers who caught your interest, including our 2 special guests. With that, let's get started. As you speak, keep your eye on Bea Balsamo right here in the aisle. She is our official timer and enforcer tonight. When she holds up the yellow card, it means you have 15 seconds, so wrap it up. When the red card goes up, your time is up, and I'll be coming for the microphone. Everyone, please remember, we keep it civil, and we applaud each and every speaker. And if you wish to ask questions, stick around for that last half hour. Good, there's our other special guest tonight, Teresa Fernandez. Teresa. Thank you. Okay, who wants to lead it off? Just remember to hold the mic close to your mouth. This one is not quite as sensitive as our other one. It's much better, but who wants to lead the way? Go speak first tonight. Yellow card back there, come on up.
My name's Jeff Northrop, and I'm kind of an activist in town. And first off, I'd like to pass on my condolences for Carlos Cisneros and his family. He worked long and hard for us, and for the most part, was loyal to the cause. I'm going to speak very quickly. I just have 2 things to say. We need to get money out of politics, or nothing will ever happen. The campaign finance reform must happen before we make any substantial changes in our political system. And in order to accomplish anything along the same line, we need to get out on the streets like they're doing in Hong Kong, Italy, and France. Until we make a lot of trouble on the streets, nothing will happen either. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Margie?
Hi, thank you. I'm Marjorie Lucky, and I'm here on behalf of the youth of northern New Mexico to give you an opportunity to get out on the streets and to do so on Friday. From 11:30 to 1:30 at the Roundhouse. Youth all over the world have been organizing a climate strike for this day on Friday and a climate week, the 20th through the 27th. Taos Youth, Espanola Youth, and also Santa Fe Youth are organizing this event. So this is a flyer you might have seen around. We will be carpooling from St. James parking lot starting at 9 o'clock in the morning to make it down there. If you have an electric vehicle, please be a driver so we can reduce our carbon footprint. But everyone can come, show up at 9. There'll be drivers and riders can get a ride. There's also a very large number of events that will be happening in Taos the week of the climate strike to bring awareness to the fact that we are in a crisis. And the United Nations IPCC has said that we have somewhere between 9 and 12 years before we reach a tipping point from which we will not return. So we are already in the middle of mass extinction. We've already seen in other countries and even in this hemisphere mass environmental migration due to the loss of the ability to survive in hotter temperatures. So there's a flyer over here on the table which lists all the events that are happening in Taos over the next week. Lots of them are very cool events. You can go to a solar house. You can do some earth building in Cuesta. There's a wonderful pollinator exhibit that's opening in the Fernandez Park. That's an art exhibit and is a collaboration with Teresa, the school. So please pick this up. You can find this information on our website. All of these events, it's taosunited.org, and it actually shows up when you type that into Google. So thank you. I hope to see you. I hope you'll bring your car, and we'll all go together. Thank you.
Thanks, Margie. Marcy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marcia Cruz Redding, and I'm here saying what I'm gonna say because of Terry. Because he just said, Marcia, I would like you to share again whatever kindness that happened to you, because I came with the idea of sharing any kind of things that we do to somebody or somebody does to us that's related to kindness. We cannot waste time anymore. They were here yesterday, I don't know if you know that. And they are not kind. And we don't have time anymore. And one thing that happened to me last week, I was at the Café Apothecary, and there was this girl sitting right under, how do you say, where there's the bird, that had the bird there with the babies
Nest.
and nest. And she was feeding her, I don't know if it's a she or he, it could be he too, feeding the babies. And the girl was there and I was there, and then we start talking. Talk to people. Open your heart, leave your comfort zone and talk to people. And today I received a message from this girl. She's a young girl, she could be my daughter. She sends me this message and says, "Hi Marcia, how are you? I'm the girl that was right there with you seeing the mother feeding the babies, birds. And I would like to know what you are doing for the Democratic women. What are you doing for a better life in this Taos of ours? Let's have coffee." And I'm gonna have coffee with her tomorrow. Yeah, in the same place, Café Apothecary. You guys are all invited if you want. Yes, just let us keep at this moment, more than ever, sharing precious moments of our lives with someone else.
Thank you, Marcia. Who's next? Yes, and Jeanette.
Thank you, Jerry. And that was beautiful, Marcia, thank you. I'll keep this quick. I'm here because I, like many of you, can help you register to vote. How many people are voter registrars? Awesome. How many of you know that next Tuesday, exactly a week from today, is National Voter Registration Day? Awesome. Yeah, a lot of you were at the training last night. How many of you want to help out on National Voter Registration Day? All right, great. See me after, because what we're doing with the support of Taos United, we being the Taos County Democratic Party, together with Taos United, so thank you for your support. We are going to try to pepper our community, a variety of different places with voter registrars. Just surgical strike, you have a clipboard, a chair, and talk to people, like we were just hearing. Talk to people. We'll have t-shirts for as many of our volunteers as we can. We'll order more if we have to for the coming 14 months because we have a lot of work to do. We plan to be at the John Dunn shops, at both campuses of UNM, at the Coffee Apothecary, at Elevation Coffee, at Paisanos, at the Midtown Market and Lounge in Hondo. So after the meeting, please come see me, help me fill in the slots we're still trying to fill. Thank you if you already have. And the training, for those of you who are voter registrars and didn't come to the training last night, we have another opportunity tomorrow night at Democratic Party headquarters, right over there, 6:30 to 7:30. We promise to keep it contained to an hour. So please, after the meeting, come and see me, take a slot, and let's get out there and register as many voters as we can. If you have suggestions for where you think would be a good spot, open those to those as well. We collected some really good suggestions last night. So thank you. Supermarkets, we might try. They generally have told us no this round, but they.
Voter registration.
It's either we got one specifically no from one supermarket, and the others like we got to check with HQ. We'll get back to you, and then they kind of go away. So. Anyway, come find me after the meeting, please, and let's get, I know we do really well in this area in our community, which is amazing, and I'm grateful for that, but let's squeeze every last vote we can out of our community. Thank you.
Yes, come on up. Casey, I'll take it.
Hi, I am Casey Leopold, and I'm here on behalf of Plastic Free Taos. And it's a group that's been meeting now for, I'm gonna guess, like 6 months or so. And we finally have narrowed down our focus to 3 different goals that we want to get really rolling in the next 6 months. We meet once a month, and we've narrowed those 3 goals down to minimizing single plastic use, and coincidentally, and I have not fact-checked this, but I've heard at our meeting last night that the Kroger family of grocery stores, which includes Smith's, is planning on being plastic-free bags 2020, next year. And I don't know if that's true, but we will be, that particular work group, we're excited about having that already, having a partner to kind of work with in town, and hopefully we can try to include more grocery stores and see how they're an experienced organization. So anyway, minimizing single plastic use. Also trying to make our recycle center a little more effective and county-wide, whether it's working with the council and the commissioners to see how we can help them accomplish the goals that they would like to, that we would both like to accomplish, and also to educate and support these processes by working with schools, governments, households, various economic groups to try to help this work. So that we've sort of narrowed down, there's been a lot of things we've talked about, like people, making their own shampoos and, all kinds of stuff. We kind of narrowed down our focuses to those 3 things. So minimizing single-use plastic, making a more effective recycle center, and using education on how to best recycle and that kind of stuff. Our next meeting is October 23rd at 5:30 right here. It's a Wednesday. Mark mark your phone calendar or whatever you want to do. I'm going to pass around this, this sign-up list if you want to join our email group and or come to our meetings. Please print. I'll start over here and you can pass it around. I'll pick it up later over here. There's also flyers inside the little plastic thing here. If you need a hard copy of the meeting, so. Did I cover everything, Melanie? Do you have anything to add to it? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Back there on the side, come on up.
Hi, last I was here, my name is Ana Pacheco. I spoke about a horse in my neighborhood in Lower Ranchitos. And I was just so distressed that that horse was neglected in a little small corral. And I want to report that he is doing fine and they moved him out. Plame for Change Taos music video. I wanted to show you this because people say praying for change, and I think that's good, but that isn't what we're doing. What I'm doing with this project. But this is a project that started in 2002, and I hope when you go home tonight, you'll get on YouTube, click on Playing for Change, and listen to some of these beautiful musicians and the beautiful scenery from all over the world. When I first heard about these songs, or seen these songs, they did one in Hawaii, they did one in Portland, Maine, one in Dayton, Ohio. I said, what about Taos? So that's what we're doing now, an all-volunteer group. We have all youth, pretty much, that are doing it. I was a Peace Corps volunteer back in Peace Corps in Paraguay, South America, and so many of the things of highlighting youth, positive youth energy, empowerment, collaboration, building community. That's sort of what I did in Peace Corps, but what a great thing to be in my home community to do this. And Peace Corps, the New Mexico Peace Corps volunteers, they gave me a little grant for this. So we have Razor Sharp that's volunteering. We have a very diverse group of people doing this. But the reason I'm here tonight is we've been filming. We have Lisa Anglada, Alejandro Silva, the Danza Azteca, the Tiwa language culture class, Taos Integrated School of the Arts, and more that we're all filming in beautiful area. It's one song, Soul Connection. They have a song called To the Mountaintop. And what a beautiful thing for our community. The water, spirituality, everything about that song is really beautiful. So that's what we're doing. But you all are invited to hear it live. We're going to be filming September 28th at 12:30 at Taos Plaza. So I would love for you guys to be there. We've already been filming, like I said. And it's a movement created to inspire and connect people through music. So I think I follow Marcia really well about positive energy in our community. So they already are doing and they're in 11 countries with music programs. They connect people regardless of their differences.
Thanks, that's great. Who else wants to speak? Okay, Mary Leslie Lane. Probably got it reversed, yeah. Mary Lane.
The right initials.
So my name is Mary Lane Leslie. But you can call me anything, just call me for dinner. All right, so I'm calling for your help on a really, I'm sorry to change the mood, a disgusting matter. The Taos County Commission Chambers on October the 16th at 5:30 will be the site of a public hearing by the Environmental Department out of Santa Fe on a septic hauler's renewal permit. Now, some of you may not know that there is an open septic pit in Taos, New Mexico. It is right across from the airport. It is larger than this room. And SNR is allowed to dump their dump their septic they collect in that open pit. where birds get into it, animals get into it, it dries, it blows all over the mesa. We have been fighting the renewal of this permit for 20 years. They are the only sewage hauler in all of the county who do not go to the Taos Solid Waste Treatment Center. That costs $15 a load, and the owner of SNR refuses to do that. So please, please come. This is a public hearing, and we need the public to say, what in the world? This is a health hazard. This is disgusting. This should not be allowed to continue. Why doesn't he have to go to the solid waste treatment plant like everybody else? The environmental department has already advised our neighborhood, this is at the end of Toon Drive where I live. They have already advised our neighborhood that they will renew the permit. They're gonna put some conditions on him. They put conditions on him every time they've renewed his permit, and not once has he complied. He refuses to meet with the ED people. He doesn't show up when they come out to do their inspections to see if the conditions are being followed. It is beyond belief. I mean, I just ask that you all come, please. 5:30, October the 16th, Taos County Commission Chambers. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Lane, Leslie.
And I have something else.
Oh, no.
It's on a very different subject, and I'd like to speak again.
Let's see if there's,
Yeah, I
if
put
everybody who wants to speak is done,
Right,
then, well,
and it's a totally separate
then you can
subject.
get a second bite at the apple.
Thank you.
All right back here, yes, Paula.
Thanks, Terry. I'm Paula Claycomb, and I want to let you all know that this coming Saturday, September 21st, from 4 to 6 p.m. at Old Martinez Hall, will be a meet and greet for Maggie Toulouse Oliver. You may know her as our Secretary of State for New Mexico. She is running for the nomination for the Democratic candidacy for U.S. Senator. So this is an opportunity to get to know her. I know that Taos United and the Democratic Party don't make endorsements. Some of us are supporting her, and we can explain why, but you'll also be able to have the opportunity to ask her questions. So Saturday, 4 to 6 at Old Martinez Hall. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Yes, Ken.
Hi, my name's Malone, and I'm the secretary of this very long name, Taos County Federation of Democratic Women, of which I wanted to nominate Marjorie for office, but she wasn't there. But I would like to introduce our president. Marcia is our president. And Martinez is not here. She is our vice president. George, where are you? George is our token man, and he is our treasurer, and I'm your secretary. So, we really need members. We haven't decided. We have to meet, we're required to meet 3 times a year, and how large is it? Do you remember, George, how many counties?
We're the 12th of
It will be the
33.
12th county, and they're very active by going to the state legislature. Initially, it's like, oh, you little girls, we don't want to listen to you, but now they listen. So here's applications, it's $20, and I would love it if you would all join and give us your email, and you can give the money directly to George tonight, or there's an address to send it. But we'd love to have you join us, and we haven't quite figured out exactly what we're doing yet, but we will. Thank you. And these are here.
Thanks, Alma. Good job. Who's next?
So, there was a piece of legislation, community solar legislation that didn't make it through in last year. And New Energy Economy is wanting to trickle in these postcards assigned to the governor, urging her to enact this the community solar legislation that didn't pass before. And so there's a bunch of postcards I have. If people want to sign them, read the back and sign it, it'd be really good. They want to trickle these in between now and January. And I didn't hear the beginning of your thing about the global strike, the youth strike, but I want to say it's very exciting. There's so many kids that are getting released from school down in Santa Fe and all over. You know, it's just going to be a big march, but it's also going to be targeting really important things along the way. And as they say, it's not just a feel-good march to the plaza or back to the roundhouse. They're really targeting important things to do. So anyway, please come. All right, bye.
Let's see here. How about Buck, our newcomer? Does I have your name right? Is it Buck? Okay. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Buck, and I'm with Guardians of Taos Water. I'm Dene, Anastasia, Kutsi, Niabelikona, Ashi are my plans. And I'm from Taos. I've lived here my whole life, and also I'm a farmer who uses water all the time, every day. I grow hay, I grow corn, beans, and this year CBD hemp. We have a really good CBD hemp project and crop coming in. It's ready for harvest. We're going to start tomorrow. But I just want to let everyone know that Got Water has been organizing to keep the parties of the Abeta settlement in check along the way throughout the implementation of the whole project. Our biggest tool is education. We're a humble group. We don't know everything, and all the people that have been meeting behind closed doors and all the negotiations that have happened for the last 40 years. But we're doing a hell of a lot of research and have a pretty good grasp on it. And we're look forward to some more actions coming up. They're about to drill their second well that will be operational just north of the blinking light. I don't know if you guys heard of the action that we did at the first well, but look for more actions coming up as things progress. I would love to invite all of you to our next Got Water meeting, our public meeting, where we have open discussions. As I said, we don't know everything, and we're totally open to advice on actions and ways that involve the community. And if we're mistaken about something, we want to know. We want to be right about everything. And so this coming Saturday, we're having a prayer gathering at the new well site. They drilled their first hole, which they're calling an exploratory hole, and now they have just recently brought in another much bigger drill to drill their supply well. And to be clear, we're not against supply wells or people having water. We're against over extraction of the water. That people are taking much more water than they need, and there's a lot of forces behind them doing this. And so we just need to keep everyone in check along the way. We're fine with people getting water and infrastructure. We're not fine with the exploitation of our aquifers and all of the effects that come along with that. So everyone here is invited to this prayer action and gathering at the new well site. It's on the highway right away. And I would just like to let people know that we've been there for the last 2 Saturdays and had a prayer ceremony and set up altars. And they've come and they've used their bulldozer and they've bulldozed our altar on the public right of way, which they have no business doing. It has nothing to do with their property or anything. They've done that twice. And so we're going to go put up a new one this Saturday. So thank you all very much. I appreciate your support. That's at noon Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks, Buck. I see my friend over here waving her card at me, so let's hear from Melly B.
And get it together, guys. Get it together.
Close.
you all ready for this change of pace? Okay. It's raining. The sky is protruding. Toxicity. A world on fire. Life on earth becoming dire. We stand within an extreme state. Physically and of mind. Conscious, we're losing our earth. Gradually, we need new worth. Fire in our home. This land we love requires our help. So take a hose and blanch it off. Otherwise, life as we know it will turn to dust. Locally, nationally, globally, we must wake up. Plant new seeds within Earth's crust. If this hits home, then you're already in the rough. So take my hand and let's disrupt. Join me at Vagrant Heart Gallery, Thursday, September 26th, from 5 to 7 p.m. for our Climate Strike Poetry Slam. It is one of our local pieces in our week of disruption, honoring Greta Thunberg and the global demand for climate change. Let's dig through the trenches together and weave real change. Conjuntos.
Thanks, Melanie, that was terrific. Okay, way back there in the corner. Is that Al? I can't tell who that is. It's Al Kelly.
It is I. With another opinion.
It never runs out
Hi, my name is Al Kelly. I've been here before. The Taos News a while back had several long articles on sin. Here's another scenario on sin. Men wrote the Bible, the Quran, the Buddha books, Tao books, Hindu books, Judaism books. Men wrote those. Each book tells us how good we could be and how bad we are. These books get us out of being bad. All those books mention sin in one way or another. Thus, man created sin. If a man or woman preachers can get you and me to believe that we are sinners, they can come and save us by teaching us guilt. So man creates religion to teach us that we are all sinners. The preachers of religion say, I can save you from the sins I taught you. I got a shaky hand. It's not Parkinson's, but it's a shaky hand. Oh, good. Terry, you're a lifesaver. And what happens when they try to save us? Well, we start believing. Many religions are in it for the money. Guilt can empty your pockets. The main sermon sometimes is, God told me to tell you to give your money to me for growth. However, there is hope. We just need to change our beliefs. Rena Swinzel from the Santa Clara Pueblo informs us about Pueblo sacredness. She says we are one people, one earth, animals, things, and even places. We're all part of everything. 2, she continues, everybody, every place is sacred and has essential worth. Clearly, she indicates the Christian myth of fallen man has no counterpart in Pueblo mythology. Nowhere in Pueblo mythology are humans' experiences a fall from God's grace. She clarifies that the concept of original sin is lacking in Pueblo thought. We are not a fallen people. We are blessed with being one with Mother Earth. Just another opinion.
Thank you, Al. That's a little bit of a departure for you, but that was great.
Thank you.
Okay, George.
And my assistant.
Both of you again.
Wow.
That's all right.
I need to ask something else.
Okay, hi all. Great crowd, nice of you to be here. I just want to say about one thing that Anjanette may have left out. If you want to be a voter registration agent and you're not one now, you can come tomorrow and get certified. So that's that. Now, I'm promoting the Taos Democratic Party's, the Taos County Democratic Party's next event, which is October 7th. So get ready with your pencils. Does everybody here count? Do you count? If you count, raise your hand. If you count, if you matter, if you count. Yeah, very good. So our next, good, I got a little bit of excitement. Our next, our next event is about the census. So I want to show you, this is the response rate. The darker the red, the worse the response rate to the 2010 census. Can you all see that? I mean, I'm hearing O and O and O. The darker the red, you can see it, Jeff. Huh? The darker the red, the worse it is. Let me have this one for a second. This is New Mexico. Can you find us on this map? Okay. Taos County in 2010 had a 62%, this is Taos County, had a 62% response rate to the mailing in of the census. Somebody take this. That's terrible. It means that 38% of the people had to be counted by sending somebody out into the community to knock on doors. We are the worst state in the nation and one of the worst counties in the state, with hard to find, hard to locate people to be counted in the census. And the census is enormously, enormously important for funding, for so many different things. Don't give me 15 seconds yet. Okay, so we are, just make it a minute, 15. We are going to have here Paige Best, who is the New Mexico Director of the U.S. Census, and Veronica Arzate de Reyes, who works for the Census Bureau, and her responsibility is the state of New Mexico. There is a complete count committee in formation. The goal of the Complete Count Committee is to reach into every segment of the community to get people to voluntarily answer the census. They're going to be able to do it this year online, starting in mid-March, online or on the phone, and the people who don't respond to that will then get envelopes, and the people who don't respond to that will then have their door knocked on. Come to this meeting. You may want to be a census collector. You may want to have something to contribute to the Complete Count Committee. It's going to be fascinating. there probably, other than elections, there probably couldn't be a more important thing about numbers in this county. Okay, thank you.
5:30. 5:30.
Thank you, Antoinette.
It's around the corner here.
Now let's have one of our special speakers come up. Valerie Plame, would you like to take the lead and take your 8 minutes?
Thank you, Terry. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the passing of Rena Rosquist and Senator Cisneros, because these were two huge figures in this community and all that they had done. So I want to acknowledge that and our collective loss. Secondly, I want to thank you. Being here at this meeting is a huge gift, because it is so perfectly clear that we share broad democratic values, and then going in deeper, the local issues, how much we value our land, our air, our water. So for someone running for office, this is a gift in so many ways. I love that it's standing room only, right? We're engaged. It feels like a wonderful antidote against sometimes the cynicism and the viciousness that we hear on the national level. You are all people who care. So thank you for including me in this evening. I want to tell you why I am running for the honor of being your congressional delegate in Washington. I can assure you, going to Washington is not the prize, but I'm running because I want to take this, frankly, crazy life experience I had of being outed by the Bush administration. I was a covert CIA operations officer, went through a political scandal for years on end, and came out the other side. I survived. I figured out how to speak truth to power. And I want to take that experience, basically, make lemonade out of lemons. I want to use the judgment that I honed during my years in the CIA, chasing terrorists around the world, making sure they didn't get a nuclear capability. I want to take my decision-making skills, also honed during my years in the CIA, and mother of twins, I might add, and be able to take that and go to Washington, and on day one, the first day I step in, I am able to put all that to work right away. And that is why, this opportunity presented itself, and it doesn't happen often. But I thought, and I don't mean to be immodest, but I thought I can do that, and I can do that well. So I am now, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself. After I was outed and Scooter Libby, Vice President Cheney's chief of staff, was convicted, literally the next day, I moved out here to northern New Mexico. And I moved here because back in the day, when I was working on super secret stuff, I went to Los Alamos National Lab quite a bit. And that was where I was first exposed to the beauty of this part of the world. And when it was time to leave Washington, and believe me, we knew it was time to leave Washington, we couldn't think of any place else we'd want to be. It was here. And I have lived and worked and traveled all over the world, and no place has ever felt like home. I once counted up, I've moved 22 times as an adult. I'm done. I'm never moving again. This is it. And so when I moved here, I threw myself into the community because I'm like, oh, I have a home, finally. And I got to do things that everyone sort of approached me in the beginning. As you know, if you're new to a community, you're sort of fresh blood for all sorts of nonprofits, and that's okay. But I got to pick and choose the things that I really cared about. One of them was United Way of Santa Fe County. They're not your mother's United Way. They are all about 0 to 5. That's the only thing they do, and they're really moving the needle, not just there, but across our state. The other one is Planned Parenthood. Not just here in New Mexico, but thank you. Across this nation, I have done a lot of pro bono things long before running for office was a twinkle in my eye, because it's something I care about deeply. I think of my 19-year-old daughter well, I think of myself at 19, and I took so much for granted of women's rights, and my own now 19-year-old daughter at college, she is now in a world where women's reproductive rights are under severe threat. So I'm really proud of my involvement with Planned Parenthood. Girls Inc., making sure that young middle school girls feel empowered. We all know that when young women are educated and we give them opportunities, not just here, around the world, all boats rise with that tide. National Dance Institute, New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence are just some of the things that I was able, after, frankly, I got over the sense that, I'd always lived working for the CIA, you have to be discreet, needless to say. And all of a sudden, I'm being asked to use my voice, and it only felt right to me to do that when I thought, oh, I can use my voice for things that I care about. I can shine a light on these things. And that's what I would like to do if I have the honor of being your representative to Washington. I have a loud, clear, strong voice. And as I go all over this district, which is huge, by the way, you all know that, and it's so diverse. It's affluent, it's struggling, it's rural, urban. It's a little bit of everything, but there are 3 areas that I hear consistently that everyone talks to me about. When I sit down and I listen, all you have to do is ask the question, tell me what you care about. And boy, you get an earful. But they fall into 3 big baskets. One is education, one is economic opportunity, and the final one is environment, which we heard about in spades tonight. Those are big baskets, but those are areas where, aren't we all tired of New Mexico, this place we love and is so special? Being 50th, I was shocked by the census, that colorings on that map. When I just look at this room and the caring people that are here, I know we can and will do better. And I would love to be able to shine a light on what we're doing here and be able to bring those resources back. So I would love to earn your support. I've been to Taos plenty. I'll come back many more times. And I appreciate your time and, again, your engagement as Democrats. Thank you very much.
Sure, you be the MC. Yeah.
We have time for a couple of questions. Yes, Bruce.
Yeah, there was an election today in Israel, and I'm just wondering, I know there has been some controversy about your position on Jews in America and Israel. Could you comment on
Of course.
what your
So I think what
position
you're
is?
referring to, and I'll be really candid.
a little louder, please.
The question was my position on Israel, I guess, but I think what you're really referring to is I very carelessly retweeted an article that I did not read all the way through. It is very hurtful to those in the Jewish community and just offensive, and I apologized profusely and profoundly and meaningfully and sincerely. That's not who I am nor what I believe. If on my website, Valerie Plame for Congress, probably tomorrow I'll be posting a paper on my position paper on U.S.-Israeli relations. So it's something that is a very painful, personal lesson in social media and reading things all the way through. And I hate, one, that I caused anyone pain, but more so that I added to the already very toxic environment that exists in social media. So it's why I am no longer on Twitter. Yes, ma'am.
I have found of the last few years, people are deciding.
Can you stand up and speak up?
People are deciding they want to run for an office rather than, like, say Gary in here was on the town council and now he's going to move up, hopefully, to be the next representative. What makes you qualified, and why haven't you started town council, county commissioner, an office that'll give you a better sense of the state we live in versus working for national organizations?
Right. So I think everyone serves in very different ways, right? So I serve my country as a covert CIA operations officer.
Right.
Everyone does different things if you care to. When I moved to New Mexico, I became incredibly involved in a lot of nonprofit things in my community. And that's how I learned. I didn't grow up here, but this is my home. And as I said, I can't think of any other place I would want to be. And I guess the best answer to why now is it was the right time. It was the right time. The opportunity presented itself, and I just would love to be able to bring my name, which frankly is, well known, which is a blessing and a curse, but to be able to apply that for positive change for my community.
That's great.
Okay,
Valerie's going to stick around to take a few questions, but I see some frantic hand waving back here. Mary Ellis, do you have a question?
For you, yes, it's for Valerie Plame. My name is Alice Martinez. I'm from Taos, Pueblo, and thank you for your service to our country. I admire your resiliency and the way you came out on top and what you're doing running for our district. So, as you know, New Mexico has a large population of Native American tribes, and what is your experience dealing with the tribes? What is your platform on Native American tribes in our state? And also, have you visited any of our villages and any of the other Native American tribes? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess I go back to my experience, my professional experience, where I have lived and worked with cultures all around the world. And you immediately, if you're going to do well and find your footing right away and to be successful, you immediately have to be open, be humble, be respectful, and understand where do you come from? What is it? And so that I've approached with that same sensibility here in New Mexico, whether it is with the Native peoples, the Pueblos, the Hispanics, everyone here. And what I find, it's not that surprising really. Guess what? Everyone really wants the same thing, a better future for their kids. And that's what it comes down to. What does that look like? So yes, there's many, many things that need to be worked on. I was honored to be part of, during Indian Market, I was part of the women that were presenting on, and that Congressman Deb Haaland has really shown a light on, the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. So I was very honored to be part of that. And as I was leading up to that, I was asked to join and doing research and my own homework on that. And it's shocking. It is absolutely shocking to understand really the genocide that has gone on in that, and how much more needs to be done between federal emergency services and the sovereign nations. So I have a lot to learn, but I think that my experience of moving between different cultures, I hope will hold me in good stead. Thank you.
Thanks.
Further questions can be asked in person at the end of this meeting, so please hold your questions for them. More 3-minute folks. There ought to be more yellow cards out there. Back there in the corner, sure, come on up.
Welcome. Thank you. Good evening, folks. Marcus Montoya, your district attorney for the last 6 weeks. I am here, and hopefully the next 5.5 years. But the reason I'm here today is to let you all know that we're going to be having a reception with Congresswoman Xochitl Torres Small at the Country Club on September 29th, and that's going to be from 3 to 5 p.m. We had a fantastic event last year. We had about 65, 75 people there, raised her a good amount of money. She's gonna have a heck of a race again on her hands this time around. And we've got a lot of good Democrats, great New Mexicans, But we have fantastic people in her as well. And when, we're speaking about the census and response, if you do matter, she knows you matter, whether or not you were responsive to their census, whether or not you live up here or in Albuquerque or southern New Mexico, where she is, that's her district, congressional district number 2. And she comes up here and a lot of people fell in love with her and it's hard not to. So to that end, she's a great human being, a classmate of mine, and a true friend. So if you can make it, there are some of these flyers on the back tables. I'll leave these up here. We're gonna try to email blast this in any way, shape, or form that we can. But it's not about the money, it's about the energy and the support for our good Democrats who are running tough races in other districts as well. Thank you.
What time again?
It's from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., but she'll try to stick around as late as she can. Yes.
The
The
29th.
29th,
At the country club.
at the country club. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Were any of you missing political events that we've been sort of slow over the last few months? That's over. That's done. Okay, who else needs to speak here? 3-minute spots.
I have something from Common Ground. They can meet here.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll get Mary Lane again. if she wants to.
I am wearing my hat now as a representative of Common Grounds, which you know is a teen co-op. They are now across the road in their new building, planning for tomorrow, and that's what they wanted me to announce to you. There is a Walk for Life, a suicide awareness event being held tomorrow. Starts at 4 o'clock in Kit Carson Park, and then there will be a walk to the plaza with speakers on the plaza at 5:30. So this is a walk to bring awareness to suicide in our community, to walk for prevention, and a walk for remembrance. Some of you may know that we had a suicide of another young person in our community just this week. It is all too frequent. There are too many people who are in pain and don't know that there are those here to help them. So please come out and walk tomorrow if you can. So the park, Kit Carson Park at 4. The walk will start at 5 p.m. and then there will be speakers at the plaza at 5:30. Thank you.
And what's your name? I'm sorry, I missed it.
I am representative of Common Grounds. I'm Marjorie Lucky.
Marjorie, say it
I'll
again.
get it to you. Let's, thank you, Marcy. Thanks. This meeting goes back and forth between joyous and somber, but that's okay. That's what's happening in our community. I'm going to pass the bucket around for your donations and ask you to give generously as you're able, so that we can continue to bring issues like this to light, so that we can be publicizing things like the climate strike and the march in Santa Fe coming up on Friday. So there's a lot going on, as you can see. And we do our very best at Taos United to spread the word about that. We do it through recaps, and through the recaps we'll give information again about all the things that have been announced here today. And we also do it through action alerts that go out to our mailing list. If you want to be on that mailing list, stop off at the front table on your way out, and you can put your name on that list. We try not to inundate you, but we do want to keep you in touch with all the events that are happening. So with that, is Mary Lane Leslie still here with her second announcement? Yes.
So the second thing, I'd like to thank Buck for bringing up the fact that the well out there, that El Prado Sewer and Water, Water and Sanitation has drilled, is very close to this open septic pit. And we're afraid that it will contaminate the wells out there because of the geology. We have a geologist who's written a very detailed report. But what I really want to speak about second is I plan to have a house party for Valerie Plame, and if any of you are interested in attending, there'll be a sign-up sheet over here on Valerie's table with her stuff. So if you're interested in coming and hearing more about what Valerie has to say, please feel free to sign up for that, and I'll make sure you know when and where. We don't know when or where yet. Thank you.
Anybody else for 3 minutes? Okay, it's time for our second special speaker then.
Taos Unidos. What a wonderful name. You know, I talk a lot about community because it really is in community that we come together and that we're strongest and that we're happiest. And really what you are doing here today is creating that strength of community. I also want to know, I know we all are noting the passing of Senator Cisneros. I worked with him 20 years ago on legislation, tribal state legislation, and over the years on many issues. And I think anybody who is a public servant deserves recognition because it's not easy. And here Valerie and I are here asking you to now support one of us or one of the other 9. So I'm going to tell you what I'm wanting. I'm wanting because we love our democracy. We love our planet, we love our community, and we love this incredibly beautiful place we call home. And what we love is under attack by those who would deny the climate, deny the science, even as we mentioned, the species are disappearing, our lands are drying up. This beautiful place we call home is under attack by the climate crisis that we are experiencing. Our health care is under attack. Our rights as women is under attack. All the attacks, we know what they are in this room. And I'm wondering because my father was a senator, like Senator Cisneros, but from Las Vegas, from San Miguel County, and from many of those northern counties over there. And he wanted to get something done, and he got a lot done for his community. He'd say, ahora es cuando. It's time. Because it's time to act with bold and courageous action, transformative action, to protect what we love. And I think that I am incredibly qualified to act to protect what we love because I've been doing it. For the last 29 years, I've been here in New Mexico. I did do a little White House, sabbatical. But besides that sabbatical, I've been here in New Mexico making things happen. I was trained as a rebellious lawyer at Stanford Law School. And you might ask, what does a rebellious lawyer do? She listens. And she listens because unless you listen, you're not going to know what the community needs, and you're not going to know what are the creative solutions to make a difference. And so I have been acting to make a difference in New Mexico and in the nation for 29 years. I think it's fair for you to ask me, what have you been doing on the issues you are going to raise as a congressperson? And I can tell you what I've been doing on those issues before I started running for Congress. Climate. I helped stop, was one among many. None of us ever do anything by ourselves. I was one among many who fought the Fence Lake mine because it was going to destroy Salt Lake, where sacred Salt Mother resided. I have been working on that bill, the community solar. I worked on that last year because I was part of the Sustainable Santa Fe Coalition, and I raised those issues in Congress and at the Senate. I was talking to Bingaman when he was doing his tax credit bills for renewable energy. So I've been working on those issues. Healthcare. Healthcare, I've helped build 3 rural health clinics. And not only that, but figuring out how do you actually provide the kind of health care that a society needs, that a community needs. I've worked on those issues. And with regards to women's rights, because women's rights that are under attack are about our healthcare issues. I've been endorsed by Emily's List, which endorses women who are pro-choice and who they recognize have the strong voice to protect women's rights. They've endorsed me and Meryl has endorsed me, but more important, I've actually worked on those issues. I've served on women's commissions. I was at the New Mexico Community Foundation when we started Women, it was something else, it's now women's.org, but I've worked on those issues. Immigration, we all care about how we're treated. I sat on the Malbec board for 6 years, and it was heavy work. That board was not just, show up, it was heavy work. And we did the redistricting, which is why this stuff matters. I did this stuff. For the last 2 decades, I have been working on making sure everybody gets counted, and then after they get counted, that their votes count. So I've done that too. I started an immigration clinic and represented asylum seekers. And I know what it means to be an asylum seeker, and we should never, never turn somebody away if they are legally entitled to asylum. Right? We should not be tearing our families apart. And if you happen to be Latina or Native American or Muslim or Mexican Jew, you should not be attacked for who you are, like we've had happen with the gun violence. That also must be addressed. So I have done those things both as a representative of Taos Pueblo. I'm Taos Pueblo's general counsel, and I'm very honored and humbled to have received their endorsement and their trust and their words of wisdom. So thank you to Taos Pueblo. But the way I've done that work is by bringing communities together. By bringing communities together and telling the stories of who we are. And it is that work in community and in protecting things which led President Obama to name me his vice chair on the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. It's got a long name. What does it do? It advises Congress and the president on what to do to protect our cultural sites. And that means Chaco Canyon. That means Bears Ears. That means we did the right thing. The Advisory Council on Historic Preservation did the right thing in Standing Rock. I know those things, and they asked me to do it because I have sat protecting the Grand Canyon. When they were doing something bad to the Grand Canyon, an environmental issue, I called up the Deputy Chief of Staff of the White House, and I said, you guys have made a big mistake, and it was Clinton. And they said, oops, and they pulled me together. So I got to meet with the FAA, with the Department of Justice. It wasn't the Attorney General, it was the second in the Attorney General, and we worked it out. I sued him, because I'm very good at suing people, and really, I've never lost a case. But I sued him, but then we worked it all out, because that's the way you do things, is you work things out. So it's this very deep knowledge about what the federal agencies do, how legislation works, where the money is, so that if we decide that we have the political will, that we will say our priorities are different, and where that money is, and how we get it to funnel it back to what New Mexico needs. Because I'm a daughter of a ranching family. I know the east side of this district. Go to my website, it'll tell you about me flipping burgers at the rodeo. We called it a rodeo, and it was my tios and my tias, and I have that ranch land, and we are doing regenerative agriculture. My nephew is now starting regenerative agriculture because a rural policy that we need in this country, in New Mexico, goes with getting the USDA to give money to our small ranchers and our small farmers, and those are my family, and those are your families, and those are people we all know. And we all love this land, whether we've been here for generations, for millennial, or whether we just moved here, like Marcia, who's going to become our wonderful leader. Yay, Marcia, right? Because we know we are a landed people, whether this land is something that we've known forever and it's in our blood, or it's something that we've come to treasure now. So those are the things that I'll be bringing. The last thing I want to talk about is the concept of community, which you are having here, but it's cultural diversity. I'm very fortunate to be the daughter of not just Senator Ray Ledger, but Manuelita de Atocha Lucero. And Manuelita de Atocha Lucero is a bilingual education pioneer. She has one of those wonderful wooden statues on the side of the highways because she was a bilingual education pioneer. Together, my mom and dad helped write and pass the 1973 Bilingual Education and Multicultural Education Act. And the reason I highlight that, isn't that a wonder? Yes, let's clap for my mom. It's because what we know in New Mexico is that we celebrate multiculturalism. We celebrate the fact that there's Tewa, Tiwa, Joa, Keras, Apache, Navajo spoken, because we know that we shall defeat those who will get their power through demonizing the other. Because we know there's no other, there's only us. Thank you very much. I'll stand I'll take many questions in here or out.
Let's take a couple of questions and then we'll wrap this up. Yes? Rebecca, you go first.
Do you have any specifics you can talk about from the congressional level to improve child welfare in New Mexico?
Yes, I think that there are some very key things that we can do in child welfare. I'm very proud of the fact that Deb Haaland, Representative Haaland, has co-sponsored a bill with Senator Elizabeth Warren with regards to early childhood education. And really what we need in New Mexico, we need to get that early childhood education funding through, right? We're all for that. But what we have to have happen is that the federal government needs to subsidize that. I sometimes talk about the fact that I went to Head Start. That's how I got my start. And I know what that early childhood education means. We all know that the 0 to 3 is some of the most important times in terms of our brain development and our child development. And so I think that the federal government has a key role to play when we get the different agencies working together, because it comes out of, there's some money in HUD that can be used for that through housing and community development. There's some money at the Health and Human Services, and then with regards to education. Those 3 pots of money could fund some of that stuff. And so together with the state money, that's what we need to have. I think a representative, but we need to remember that what a representative should do in representing her district is bringing the different levels together, the state, the tribal, the local, and the federal. And because I have worked with each of those entities, and I respect them and know the different role they play, that's what I'll be doing, because that's what a good representative does, right? We've had some good representatives in New Mexico, and that's what, I will help highlighting the resources that are available. I've spent 29 years trying to get money from the feds to New Mexico. I've gotten about, I don't know, 800 million, 900 million, I've kind of lost track. You used to be 800 million about 6 years ago, but I've done a lot more of getting those federal grants, getting that federal financing for things like Head Start, which comes from a different pot than perhaps other things.
Laura, did you have a question?
I do, and then I wanted to ask the same question to Ms. Plame as well. In fracking is a huge issue here and other invasive technologies. In 2016, it was very hard to find an elected Democrat who would speak up about standing up when people were being massacred, literally massacred. I know Senator Sanders spoke up about it, Deb Haaland went there and cooked the people that were up there, and Tulsi Gabbard went up there and was in that protest. But Secretary Clinton was silent, President Obama was silent, Elizabeth Warren, despite her whatever, was silent. I would want to know from each of you, did you speak up at the time, and what would be your position now to taking money from people in those industries and your position of protecting?
I am proud to say that I was vice chair of the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, and we spoke up. And we spoke up and we said, you should not do that pipeline. You have not adequately consulted with tribes, and there is a potential for harming cultural sacred sites. And unfortunately, the Army Corps of Engineers did not heed that. We would not have had that mess if the Army Corps of Engineers would have heeded both. Because if you go and look at the data, the Environmental Protection Agency also said that the studies were not accurately done. So I spoke up there as part of the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. I helped start one of the first environmental programs to address some of these issues in northern New Mexico over the San Juan Basin. I went and did the tour. I'm very happy that Don Schreiber is part of my Teresa for All group. And you might know him. He likes to, people call him the methane madman because he's mad about all the methane leaks. And I knew about it, but I wanted to make sure I knew about it. I now can taste. I can tell you what it tastes like to have that methane spewing every second of every day from our wells because it is wasteful. And it's not the leaks. There literally is a little pipe and it is emitting methane. And the problem is the right now, it's not gonna happen. So you need to remember, we're getting rid of Trump. We're getting rid of Trump. By 2020, it's gonna be the year of transformation. We're getting rid of it. The state is actually looking at methane rules. The state is in many ways doing what it should be. We have a great governor now, and they're saying we need to look at that. The feds are rolling them back. When I get there, and see, that's, I think, one of the reasons that I got the Emily's List endorsements. They said we need a strong, compassionate voice of somebody who knows these issues intimately. I have worked on the Rio Arriba County. I represented people over there. And so I know those issues, and then you have that case. And thank heaven, the chairman, Grijalva, they came out, they know what needs to be done. That stuff is coming through in the House. We have to get some work of capturing the Senate so that we can get bills going through. But does that give you a little sense of what I am? I have a Green New Deal for New Mexico op-ed that's in the New Mexican. If you give us your email, if you sign up, we can send it to you. So.
One more question, Susan? Can you stand up and really yell, or shall I bring you the microphone?
I'll take it, Mike.
Los Alamos, they refused to clean up. They used the money to make more triggers, but we're all exposed. And meanwhile, the water and air and soil around there is
So that everybody heard that. So with regards to Los Alamos, I think that there is going to be, we have to remember that we have been involved in New Mexico. Los Alamos has some major issues because at the time that they began doing all that, maybe they didn't really. I don't know what happened, but we do know that there is cleanup that needs to be done. When you speak to people in Los Alamos, I talk to a lot of people in Los Alamos, and they will raise that cleanup is an important thing that needs to be done. So I think that that money and that reclamation needs to be done in Los Alamos, and I think that we need to recognize we are a state of extractive. We have too long been about an extractive industry, and we need to move to a new, more vital economy that does not depend on the extractive industries. And while we do that, there are lots of jobs. You look at my Green New Deal for New Mexico op-ed, it's a very high level, but it gives the idea that there are jobs not just in the new renewable energy, but in reclamation and cleanup. And so I think that that's the thing to do, is that we need to spend that money, because if we don't, we're gonna have a dirty environment, we won't be able to have our future. But in cleaning it up, that is also, sadly, an economic generator. And I have experience in that. I can talk about it after I participated in something like that with regards to uranium elsewhere, but I ran out of time.
Well, great thanks to all of you who have spoken tonight, and all of you who have applauded and been so appreciative and such a great audience tonight. And a special thanks to our two guest speakers, two great candidates for the U.S. Congress from our district. I just want to let you know that the third woman in the race, Laura Montoya, will be here next month. So we're going to at least get all three women here. There are a bunch of other candidates. So we're going to stop now and have fun, converse, get to know each other. We're all about community here, so the rest of the time tonight, the next half hour, 35, 40 minutes, is for you to chat and get to know each other. Thank you so much. Great evening.